Good evening, everybody. It's now 6:30. Given the two issues that were on the town council agenda going into closed session are going to be deferred and moved to either next week or early February. Therefore, we are not going to have a closed session tonight, and we'll start or recapture and pick up at 7 o'clock. So you have half an hour to enjoy. Thank you very much. And I just want to let everybody know. See you at 7 in half an hour. Good evening. Just for those who got here, we did not have a closed session. Both those items are being deferred and will be picked up starting either next Wednesday or in the next meetings. If everybody, including myself, can kill your cell phones, that'd be great. I am here running the meeting as second warden. Unfortunately, as some of no, it's open. You want to open? Will you open the meeting?
I don't know the rules.
No, you don't have to. You don't.
He always opens it.
Go ahead. Would you like to
No,
open the meeting?
go ahead.
Second, Martha. Keith. Keith is not. I declare the meeting open. Keith is not here as his mother passed away, Marie Stover, and he is taking care of his father right now. And so, unfortunately, we all send our best wishes to Keith and the Stover family, but he's going through a lot of family things right now.
So we're stuck with you, basically.
For the night.
All right.
For the night. It's going to be one of those nights. Okay. First, the number 3 thing on the agenda is public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? Kim, if you could please come to the podium. And turn the green light on. David Lewis will help you if you need help.
Nothing big. Happy New Year. And just been noticing things now that I have more time, and I'm hoping you'll address is the step off at Andy's Way.
It's getting a little steep.
Yep, it was great to get that stone slab, but now it's canted forward with sand on it, and it seems a little more dangerous. And I think, I'm hoping that you're working on a permanent engineering solution for that problem. And the other engineering.
Can I just answer that one? Because I
Yeah.
just saw a signal. I believe the facilities director is working on it, and thumbs up.
Thank you. How's the draining pond out here coming? That was my other comment of concern. This pond out here has not regained water. Water is going somewhere. It's not functioning properly. It wasn't last spring, and Mike said that that it was leaking out around the sluiceway, and something was going to have to be done. So I walk by it almost daily and would love to see it fixed. So I don't know. Again, maybe it's probably in the works, but I haven't heard anything about it for a while. Not that I'm at every meeting, as you know. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will make sure they know.
What's the name of that pond, Kim?
Milltown.
Mill pond?
Mill Pond?
Martha.
The mill used to happen.
Any other public comment? Okay. Hearing none, as all of you know, we do a consent agenda.
I'm sorry, I don't know whether I should put this under public comment, but I did get a message from someone today who was concerned that we were going to allow hunting at the North Point. So
Okay.
I just wanted to say, I don't really have.
Yeah, on the town land?
No, I'm not talking about the one that's on our agenda. I'm talking about, that's what I clarified with him, is the north end.
Meaning
So-
the town lot.
No, it's the preserve that
Okay.
includes the
Yeah.
North Point.
I will make sure it is with that when you guys, or when we all do hunting, that we make sure this noted. Right? Perfect. Okay, consent agenda. As everybody knows, it's rather extensive because everybody volunteering for different committees. I do have a few notes on this, and if anybody has things on minutes on the consent agenda, one comment that I do know Keith asked me to raise. As you may know, Neil Murphy is both on the town council and also is on the tourism council. It has been discussed that that's sort of this transition year. A lot of things are going on, and it is in the consent agenda as a transition for one more year. Second thing that is in the consent agenda, that's a little typo, is Marguerite Donnelly is the director, or is to be appointed if we agree, Director of Public Welfare. And there was just a typo in the name. It says Mary Donnelly. So that was just a bit of a typo. What about David Houseman? I didn't know that. I think it got changed. Any other consent agenda questions or comments?
No, but I had both of those marked
Mhm.
and not to pick on Neil, but I'm wondering why we would be extending it for another year. Was there nobody else interested or?
I mean, I'm glad to step off, but they don't have any interest. So it's the same why we renewed this past year. So they haven't had anyone come forward, so.
Okay.
Right, but I mean, we think we should leave it open if someone does want to join, right? They could do that at some point, right?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. So they just said, are you willing to stay on? We don't have anybody. I said, yes. And
Not because of you, but only because it's in the charter
Right.
that way. That's my issue.
Right.
Okay.
We can modify it right now. I'm fine to have Neil stay on and have people look for it. If the council would prefer, we can, I apologize, not have Neil on, and it can be an open position vacant. Right, Millie? So right now, the consent agenda has Neil on there. If you'd like to edit it, let me know. Okay. David Lewis. Is it okay, right? Yes.
David Lewis, Coonamous Road. So I think in your motion to approve the consent agenda, I think we collectively have been trying to establish best practice with regard to the councilors serving on in other committees and capturing it in the minutes appropriately so that, or in the motion appropriately, so that the record will show that there was adequate or justification offered for why we would be continuing a counselor for the second year or a subsequent year, or even for the first year. So we did that last year when Neil went on the first time, and I would like to suggest that we incorporate that into the motion as well,
Agree.
with that justification a little bit more strong than just no one's there to fill it. Because I think that, so it's sort of like having a right of first refusal on a piece of property. Once you have the right of first refusal, you freeze the price, you freeze other buyers from coming in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes of Marguerite Donnelly and the point that Neil Murphy will do a one-year transition remaining on the Tourism Council while also on the Town Council in order to ensure good communication with tourism. Is there a second on the motion? Second?
I don't think I can vote on it.
Nope, you're not going to vote on it. I'll vote yes. Martha?
Yes.
Molly?
Aye.
Aye. Votes 3-0. Thank you, David, very much. Votes 3-0 and approved. Would like to open the public hearing, and the next public hearing is discuss and act on proposed amendments to the New Shoreham zoning ordinance, section 309D, permitted uses RCM zone, section 310D, permitted uses in M zone, section 311D, permitted uses in OHC zone, section 312D, permitted uses in NHC zone, and section 313D, permitted uses in the SC zone. Can I get a motion on opening the public hearing?
Is there anybody presenting the information on this or?
Not
You?
If you could make a motion to.
open.
Just open. the-
Yeah, that's right. So it's just somebody.
Motion to open.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Martha, motion made by Neil, seconded by Martha. Now it's open. Millie, is there anybody who wants to lead us on this? Do you know?
I can speak on this a little bit. This item was drafted by the land use attorney. Once we had determined that the zoning ordinance was not really in compliance with our our general ordinances regarding the mobile food establishments. So the attorney drafted a zoning,
Of course, I'm the one who said.
Yeah.
your phone. Yes.
a zoning amendment in order to bring compliance in between the two ordinances. And I feel like it's just housekeeping, but if you have any further questions, I'm sure we can answer those for you.
And just for everybody's edification, this sentence, and I'll read it for those that haven't looked at it. In each zone, mobile food establishment pursuant to a duly issued license issued by the town council pursuant to chapter 8, article 5, section 8, for a location that is open to the public and established by the town council under said chapter 8, and which activity is in compliance with the provisions of the Title 5, chapter 11.1 of Rhode Island general laws. So in essence, it allows the ability for mobile food establishments to be in all of those zones. And it's just making sure it's compliant with the state. Okay. Do I have a motion? Or just to make sure, it is a public open comments and meeting. Is there any public that would like to say anything about this? Perfect.
So moved.
Do we have to?
We have to close the public hearing?
So is it so moved to close the hearing?
There you go.
And do I have a second? Second by Martha. The public hearing is now closed. Any discussions on the council about this? Hearing none. Neil? So moved. Second?
And that was a motion to approve
Yes.
the amendment as presented?
Yes.
Thank you.
And how does everybody vote? Neil?
Aye.
Aye.
Martha? Aye. Passes unanimously, 4-0. Next on the agenda, public hearing again. We're going to open it. Discuss and act on proposed amendments to the New Shoreham liquor license rules and regulations, amending sections, quote, 2, new license applications, 3, license renewal applications, and 6, license restrictions and conditions to include a requirement to be satisfied prior to the issuance, renewal, and or transfer of liquor licenses of furnishing statements from the town building official and the Rhode Island State Fire Marshal Office that the premises at which the license is to be held is in conformity with all requirements of state and local building fire codes. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing? Second by Martha. Anybody would like to speak about the requirement to get the building official and the fire marshal to approve the facility for a liquor license?
We had a fair amount. I think we had a fair amount of discussion about this during the liquor renewal procedures. And it was thought to be a lack in our process. It's one more sign off.
And Sven, if I may, Nick Solitro,
Hey,
just Keith Stover spearheaded this, as you said. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight. But we worked with the fire marshal, the state fire marshal himself, on crafting language that worked for himself and his office. So on that basis, I recommend passage.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
You're
Nick,
not up on the screen, so I apologize.
Can I ask Nick a question? What's the order of this happening? Is this something that the fire marshal signs off on before we issue liquor licenses or after?
So it would be before, and just for public education, there may be business owners out there or liquor license owners out there right now who are saying, how do I get this life safety inspection? Again, I spoke with the fire marshal himself. He's ready, willing, and able to do these life safety inspections in the spring and into the summer. So that over the next, I believe there's a 6-month grace period. Over the next 6 months, licensees have plenty of time to comply with this. But Molly, to answer your question, this will be a requirement not only now, so for licensees over the next few months to comply with a 6-month grace period, but also going forward, basically on an annual basis, they'll need to do this before they come before the Board of License Commissioners to renew or transfer or get a new application.
So they'll need to have this done before they start liquor service for this season?
Correct.
And then they will need to repeat it before we approve their liquor license renewal next year?
They'll need to repeat it in the future. The life safety inspection, if they pass the test, if you will, it's good for a year. And that year period was recommended to us by the fire marshal. So
Nick,
within a year of coming before you, they'll have to have passed a life safety inspection.
Nick, let me make sure I heard what Molly said, because I want to make sure, because it was a great question. So we've issued licenses for, I'll just say this summer
Correct.
already.
Excuse me, we approve them.
Sorry, we approved them. Thank you. So to Molly's question, in order to issue them or to receive them, do they need to get these two done before this summer? Or is
Yes.
it a next year thing?
It's before
the
this
majority
summer.
of those licenses have already been issued. That's just that's just the practice is, that they're issued. I thought that I was under the impression that they had 6-month grace period to get that done, but they could be open during that period.
Yeah, there's nothing prohibiting them from being open. We'd obviously encourage that they get this inspection done sooner rather than later. And also the fire marshal, from what I understand, goes out there and does a lot of these on given dates. So if you're a liquor license holder, I certainly would encourage coordinating with the fire marshal's office to see that that's done. I'm told in the spring it's done predominantly.
I'm sorry to
I'm
beat the
thinking-
dead horse here. So just because people are so litigious. So if I was issued a liquor license already, I have the certificate. Can I argue I don't need to go through these steps because you've already issued it? And the amendment is being put in place after the issuance of the certificate.
No, what you're passing tonight gives license holders 6 months to submit
Okay.
their first certification.
Okay, so let's play that out. So I don't do it. The town has the right to withdraw the eligibility for that certificate and doesn't have to risk being sued. Well, I mean, you can't stop them from suing us, but
Right.
we be on legal standing to do that.
Yes, we're giving
Okay.
certainly adequate notice.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
So I'm thinking in an ideal situation, this would occur like right before we're renewing so that it would be something that is available as part of the application process, but it doesn't seem like the timing's going to line up that way. So it puts who's it putting? I feel like it's putting pressure on the clerk's office. Then, like, who's in charge of keeping track of all of these? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
question.
Like, who's in charge of being
Ensuring
sure
it
that everybody
happens.
got these?
So it's going to be a requirement to have a complete application. So yes, there's an onus on the clerk's office, but in essence, it's a box to check, and there's a number of boxes to check when somebody submits a liquor license application. This is just another one of them, and for what it's worth, we're a bit behind the 8 ball as far as municipalities that do this.
Okay.
So,
And then, so we could be in the position of revoking licenses if they don't get it.
Yes.
Okay.
so the way I see it, Molly, is that they would be getting their inspections this spring. Then being in compliance this summer. We don't really have a way to be checking on that besides maybe doing some kind of a spot inspection or whatever. But then once they're renewing, then they will be, attesting to the fact that they did have that inspection done. And so then we would be going forward with that. So they'd be getting them in the spring for our approvals in the fall.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions from the public or anybody on the council? Make a motion to close the public hearing. Seconded by Martha. Any other questions? And make a motion to approve the changes. Seconded by Martha. And how do you vote, Neil?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously, that is approved. And, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug. I apologize. I'm sorry.
I didn't have a comment on that, but there is an existing part of the ordinance for a new license, which says the building inspector shall certify that the building is 100% meets the code. And there's people in here who are smarter than me, but if you take an old building out here that's been through many renovations and many code revisions, building inspector can't do that. Hey, this building was renovated in 1980. Well, what was the code?
Right.
Rhode Island changes their code every 6 years. The nation does it every 3 years. So he's got to go back. So when was this porch put on? 1990. All right. What's the requirement? So what's behind these walls? Something he's never seen. So I think you should look at that part of the requirement because you're putting big responsibility on the town and the building official. Perhaps what you have in the other thing that they have to say there's no violations, no zoning violations is one thing, but if you're in an old building, like say the Star Department Store wants a liquor license, you're gonna go in there and tell me that meets the code, good luck.
Yeah.
So I just think it puts the town and the building official in a bad spot.
Like we sort of put that in notes for the next.
Sven, we're aware of that, and when we revamp these, it will be addressed.
The monitor speaks. Thank you, Doug. But let's make sure we don't drop that one. That's a great point. Any other comments? Okay. Item number 7, public hearing on New Shoreham zoning ordinances, Ray, Christopher Willie, and Article 5 performance standards. That is being continued. Sorry, what did I say, Willie? Sorry, Warfel. That has been continued to February 5th, is that right?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
Chris is good with that and everything's good with that?
Yes, I was in touch with Chris today.
Okay, perfect.
I will need a motion on that, please, to continue it to the date certain.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing, the opening, to discuss and act on the proposed amendment to the New Shoreham zoning ordinance regarding application to amend the zoning ordinance of Christopher Warfel, amending Article 5 performance standards, Section 517 solar energy systems and definition standards for ground mounted systems, Article 4 criteria for special use permits, Section 425 solar energy systems, applicability and standards. Is there a second? Second, and to a date certain of February 5th. Second? Second. Okay, any comments? Everybody, Molly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Millie. Anything else? Good. Next, item 8 regards Board of License Commissioners, and so we need to sort of change our hats for a minute. And I'd make a motion. Do I need to close the town council meeting first?
No, you can just
Okay.
convene.
I'll make a motion to convene the Board of License Commissioners. Somebody second? Seconded by Martha. Thank you, Neil. So the Board of License Commissioners is now in attendance. Item number 8 is act to approve amendments to the New Shoreham liquor license rules and regulations, amending Section 2, new license applications, 3, license renewal application, and 6, license restrictions and conditions to include a requirement to be satisfied prior to the issuance, renewal, or transfer of liquor licenses, of furnishing statements from the town building official and the Rhode Island State Fire Marshal's Office that the premises at which a license to be held is in conformity with all of the requirements of the state and local building fire codes. Any comments or questions? None? I mean, we just had it all, which is for like license commissioners.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve by Molly, seconded by Neil. No comments. Anybody in the public? No comments. Then with no comments here, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye? Aye. It passes unanimously in the Board of License Commissioners regarding the state fire marshal and the building official. And I do want to make note of Doug Michelle's comment regarding other parts of the licenses or requirements for the building official. I make a motion to close the Board of License Commissioner meeting. Seconded by me, by Neil,
Aye.
and everybody. Aye. So the Board of License Commissioners is closed. back to town council. So next item, and I think we can do this quickly, efficiently. Receive and act on mobile food establishment permit renewal application for 2024. Andiamo Zeke, DBA Aldo's Bakery, vote. See the Light LLC, DBA Southeast Light Delights. A lot of C's. SEA Life Services Inc., DBA Farmstead Refreshments, and Block Island Gourmet LLC, DBA Block Island Gourmet Food Truck. Millie and I talked about this. Unless there's questions about any one establishment, we can approve all of these in one vote. So just checking to know if there's any questions on any one license.
So the only thing that I think it's related to liquor, not the mobile food, but there was an open item with the garden lot, right? But that's liquor, not this
Yes.
is just the renewal of the
Of
food
the
food truck.
Not anything to do
Right.
with the owner of the land. Okay. So I'll make a motion to accept mobile food establishment permit renewal applications for the record, who is representing, hold on a minute, Andiamo Zeke DBA. You don't have, Mr. Leone, nice to see you. And who's representing See the Light, that's SEE, See the Light? Mr. Boudreau, thank you very much. And Sea Life Services, SEA. Kelly Walsh. This is why Martha did it. And Block Island Gourmet.
Sean Kivlahan.
Thank you, Sean. Good to
Yes.
hear your voice. Thank you.
I apologize, I can't be there tonight. Our representative couldn't make it, so we had to make this arrangement. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the screen.
I guess just to be fair, since we've asked the police chief on all the other licenses, any issues with any location? Thank you.
You sure? Paul? Such a joke. Thank you very much for letting me do that. I make a motion to accept the permit renewal applications for Andiamo Zeke, See the Light, Sea Life Services, and Block Island Gourmet. Second. Seconded by Neil. Any discussion? Neil, how do you vote? Aye. Martha? Molly?
Aye.
I vote in affirmative as well. Congratulations, rather than having to go through each one of them, and thank you very much. See,
have Carolyn. When do we have Carolyn? We have one other that's out of schedule with, and that will be,
That's in July.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you, Johnny. Now, item number 10, receive and act on hawkers and peddlers license renewal application for 2024. Is anybody here representing hawkers and peddlers? The Gassers, thank you.
I just texted her to see if she was
Coming?
coming. Maybe
Good,
she
thank
doesn't
you for
know. Maybe
doing
we
that.
could put it off till the end of the meeting, or how do you want to do that?
I'm comfortable putting it off. I'm also comfortable moving forward. But Martha.
What would you
wanna-
recommend?
If you're all comfortable moving forward with the, approving the application without her present, if you don't have questions.
I'm just gonna disagree with that, just because if we get to the point where someone
Pass
is
it.
deemed that we don't like them and we don't approve it on the spot, let's just be consistent. Everyone else has been here, so let's keep it with, they need to be here. So,
We have over the years worked very hard to get people to come and show up.
which is great.
I think it's unfair.
So, but I meant, what would you recommend? Should we reorder it in the agenda for tonight or put it to a different meeting?
I would say you could just table it for the moment and then pick it back up.
If it's delayed, Millie, if it's delayed till next Wednesday, or it doesn't really matter, right? From a hawkers and peddlers point of view, okay? So we're gonna we'll delay and put on the next agenda item number 10, which is hawkers and peddlers approval. Cool, Mill?
You definitely want it on the next agenda, or do you want to wait and see if, just want to table it?
We can always bounce.
Yeah, just table it
back.
and
We
that.
can always table it.
This is
Okay.
not first.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much, Martha, for pointed that out, and Molly for looking. Okay, item number 11, discuss and act on the request of Mark Tilson to reside in the Coast Guard Motor Pool Building through early March. Just so you know, I did have a conversation with Mark today, and he is here if we need. And depending on what the council moves to, he and I discussed the idea that he could stay in the building until March 18th at 12 p.m. And I only make a sort of, for those who don't know, this has been a discussion that's been going on for a long time. And Mark has finally now, as of a week ago, bought land and secured a location. So everything is actually now moving forward. And this is about really his transition out. But I really am sort of putting a hard stop on the 18th. I recommend putting a hard stop on the 18th at 12 p.m. It's just.
Marion, when does the space need to be available for whoever's taking it next?
It won't be until late spring, early
Okay.
summer.
So just, I would just say, let's have a drop dead date. So if his date pushes, we don't have to revisit it.
March
So,
18th.
well, why
I
not
agree.
just say May 1st? And as long as he's following the rules, and we don't need it till early spring.
Well, the council
just-
can vote how it wants. I mean, I don't see any reason that it would go on if Mark's happy with March 18th. I mean, then we can plan on potential improvements. We can.
Do we
Okay.
have improvements planned for that building?
The improvements plan for that building would be with the new chief coming on board, and I don't think he has anything planned at this point for that building.
I mean, I would tend to agree with Neil. That,
I mean, we can revisit it too. It's not a big deal, but it just seems.
well, I'm gonna say, I mean, this has been bounced to our lap, but how many different, but I'm not sure why. So I want to say that, like, how many different properties do we have? That we have several properties in the town that tenants live in. Right, but this seems to be the only one that gets bounced to the council.
The council approved the lease. The lease expired on 12/31. I have no authorization to extend a lease of someone, so we bring it to the council.
And the other thing is.
Why don't we go to, what we use, March 31st is a Sunday. So April 1st would be a Monday. I'm just looking at, make
I have a-
it
I have a
clean.
question too. Do we receive, does the town receives rent for this, right?
We do receive rent. The rent has been $750 a month. That includes utilities. However, Mark moved in there in, I think, May of last year, May in the spring or something like that. Usually what we do, once the kids move out, the kids are the ones that occupy the state police, once they move out, at this time of the year, we turn the heat down to 45 degrees, according to the facilities director. So we will be asking Mark to contribute to the heat, because the heat will be heating the building that we don't normally heat.
But nobody else is planning, no, there isn't another tenant coming in until May.
No,
I mean, I don't have any problem leaving this. What's the date that it turns? Is it what is it a month by month starting on the 1st or the 31st?
the lease was extended the last time through December 31st.
So the
It was from
31st.
May through December 31st.
Yeah,
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, so motion to approve month-to-month lease with ending drop dead date of April 30th.
Second. More discussion? Can I second? Yes. More discussion? No? Molly? How do you vote? Aye. Martha?
I had not realized, Mark, until I read this, that you had secured housing somewhere.
Congratulations.
Excellent. Great.
nice.
Congratulations. Okay. Item number 12, discuss and act on deer hunting dates for the town property at Plat 20, Lot 20. Do I need to read all the dates, Millie?
Yes, please.
Okay,
You know what, before you read them, these are just mirroring the already approved dates for hunting. And now we're just extending it to this lot.
Right,
Okay.
this is not anything that we're not doing that being allowed on other properties.
any other comments or questions before I read it? As part of our commitment to, so I make a motion as part of our commitment to reduce the deer herd to authorize controlled deer hunting on town property, plat 20, lot 20 for archery, shotgun, muzzleloader on January 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 29th, 30th, 31st of 2024 and February 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of 2024. Seconded motion. Any comments?
I am hoping that the signage could be bigger. So last year, the signage that like alerted the public that this was a hunting area was this big. It was a piece of paper that had a piece of like saran wrap over it, and it was red, and it was attached to a wooden signage board, not along the path that I was following. And it was this big. It was typed just like this. So what I'm hoping is that we could have something, I mean, we could have that piece of paper, but I just wish there could be a bigger sign that alerted the public, maybe blaze orange with some big letters that just said, you know, like hunting, read this. And then they could come up and read the little red piece of paper, because I don't think there was anything that certainly I went looking for it, to be honest. Like I was like, is this posted? Will people know? So I'm just hoping that there could be a bigger sign there. Is that possible?
Yeah, and I would second that, just because there were discussions in the spring for the next proposal to potentially expand hunting, which if approved would warrant or align with what you were talking about, Molly. So.
Mary Ann?
I just emailed staff for that.
On,
Let me just jump there. So Millie, what's the timing of the state where we have to align the state dates for the next year?
Right, you will be addressing that at your first February meeting, February 5th.
Okay.
And I'll present you with the calendar at that time.
Okay.
okay.
Anybody get that besides Molly?
Any other questions? Do you want to make a motion?
Motion to approve the addition of town property plot 2020 to deer hunting dates as listed.
Second. Second by Martha. Molly? Aye. Martha?
Aye.
Neil, everybody, unanimous vote of ayes to approve those dates. Thank you.
This has been advertised in the past, hasn't it?
Orders.
That map,
Yes,
Yes.
and that will be again.
yes, we'll put it on our website, and I'll send it to the paper.
Okay, good, thanks.
Item number 13 is discuss and act on a resolution in support of the Block Island Housing Board Project West Side Road, Plat 18, Lot 2-3. I am not going to read the whole thing. In essence, it's supporting the town's effort to get funding for the housing development that the Housing Board has been working on. Any questions, any concerns? Anybody want to say something? I'll make a motion to approve the resolution in support of Block Island Housing Board Project West Side 20, Plat 18, Lot 2-3, R-01-2024.
Second.
Seconded by Molly. Martha, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, great. And there you go. There are copies right up here. Martha, when you signed it, we can pass it to Neil. I think there are three. Item number 14, which is regarding Juneteenth, and not to skip ahead, but item number 18, which is regarding governance of island-wide broadband. Keith has asked us to defer on both of those subjects because he would like to be part of it and is in the midst of writing a resolution on the Juneteenth one. So we're going to defer 14 and 18 till next meeting. I'm pausing for a minute. Item number 15 is something that I am thrilled about, and that is act to give advice and consent on the recommendation of the town manager to appoint the chief of police. Marianne, you have a point of view?
Sure. Just to update the council briefly, what has taken place since we started the search. As a reminder, the search committee consists of Ken Lacoste, Kim Gafford, Kim Einloth, Paige Gafford, Angie Tree, Sue Keith Lane, Carlos Salinas, Bill McComb, and myself. Two of the members of the search committee are in the audience here this evening. We picked three candidates to interview. We did hold two of the three interviews. The third candidate did withdraw his application. A second interview was held with one candidate with a subgroup of the total committee. Based on the interviews, I'm pleased to report and ask that the council provide consent and advice as the current Lieutenant Paul Dean as the next chief of police for the town of New Shoreham. It was a unanimous decision by the board, the search committee, and I have to thank the search committee for all their hard work. We did a lot of work during the holidays, and they were all here present and were very thoughtful as they went through the process. So I'm very pleased this evening that we now have a police chief effective tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
So technically, we have to consent to that recommendation, correct?
Correct.
So I'd like to make a motion to consent on the recommendation of the town manager to appoint Paul Dean as chief of police of the town of New Shoreham.
Second.
Seconded by multiple people. Molly, how do you vote? Martha?
Aye.
Neil? Congratulations. So, Paul, what do we do with 1,000 labels of interim? I don't know. Just kidding. Congratulations, and to both. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding.
Can we talk about stickers on mopeds now? No, I'm joking.
There you go. Item number 16, discuss and act on authorizing the town manager to apply for a municipal public safety infrastructure grant of $1 million to support the development, renovation of the public safety complex, police, fire, rescue. Marianne?
So what happened last year, in last year's General Assembly during the budget process, what was included is $11 million for public safety, police, fire, rescue complexes. A lot of these have to be pretty much down the road a little ways, which we are. One of the things that they've asked for, this application is due on the 26th. It's I pretty much have it all done. What they're asking, if we could include a letter of support or vote from the council supporting the application. So that's what's before you this evening, simply supporting the application of a $1 million grant application for municipal public safety infrastructure grant program for $1 million.
So this is separate from the federal funding.
Correct. It's
request.
two
Okay,
different
so-
things. Absolutely.
Please.
Motion to approve town manager's ability to create a letter authorizing money for the grant for municipal public safety infrastructure grant of $1 million.
Dr. Napoli?
Okay, to support the development and renovation of the public safety complex.
So I'll second by Sven. Any comments? Any comments in the public? No? Motion made and seconded. Molly? Martha? Aye, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 17, discuss an act on conversations with Orsted regarding wind farm development negotiations. I know Keith has a much more extensive discussion that he'd like to have with the council. There was a meeting last Friday,
Right.
thank you. With Orsted, Marianne, Keith and I went. It was a very productive meeting, a very good discussion, very positive. And I know Keith is working through a couple of details right now and looks forward to sharing that when he is back. But I just wanted everybody to know that whole effort is moving forward, or at least a dialogue is moving forward, which is something we didn't have in the past. Any questions? Please say no. Item 18, we said is going to be delayed a little bit. Item 19, review and announce budget hearing schedule. For those who haven't seen it or want to get a copy of it, it starts on Wednesday, March 20th at 7 p.m., excuse me, which is sort of the budget presentation of the town council that Amy and Marianne are working on. And it goes through to May 6th, the financial town meeting. The real meetings as far as, both town departments, community support, capital tax, et cetera, are really between March 20th and roughly April 4th, where it starts getting finalized April 10th. These schedules are available to anybody who wants it. And to be very fair for everybody who's watching on Zoom, this is the most important thing that the council and I think many of us do, which is sort of setting the priorities and setting the budgets. And I can't overemphasize the importance of people attending, getting public input, and actually public scrutiny. While Amy does an amazing job, we need everybody's input as to priorities and initiatives. And I really strongly request that people do their best to attend.
It's also very helpful if people come and ask questions, and that's the only way you really got to get an understanding of it. I know how much work goes into this, and coming financial town meeting night and picking up papers and voting and putting them down. I know people are discouraged. I know it all feels like it's a runaway train, but it doesn't have to be. And we've got a great finance department who can answer all your questions. So come and ask. Don't say, I don't know.
Perfect. And thinking about the great finance department, the next
That
item.
was our segue.
Just before we go there.
I had a really good segue.
Yeah, so.
Really? You gotta know.
So Marianne and Millie, can we just get on the agenda? So I've raised this before. So Sean was on the Zoom and allowed to speak. Other people haven't been allowed to speak because they're on Zoom. We kind of kicked it around when I raised it the last time. We need a very clear policy so people don't feel like they're being discriminated against because they're not allowed to speak. So we approved something that he wasn't in person, kind of, we start to treat people differently. So I just think the council needs to be clear on when and if you can be participating. Okay, thanks.
You were talking about the budget here.
I know, but she was talking about coming here.
Okay, just joking. Receive and act on the annual audit report for 2023. Amy, do you want to say anything? Did I skip something? That was on the schedule for meetings that you all will attend. Yes?
Yes, we'll see you all there. You do have the Town of New Shoreham financial report for fiscal year 23. I will not go through it in detail. There are probably 4 things I want you to take away. One is that this is a clean opinion. That's what we're looking for in an audit, that it fairly and accurately represents the town's financial position. 2 is that it was completed on time, filed with the State Auditor General, which is a requirement of Rhode Island general law. The 3rd is that if you do choose to get into the details, things are starting to look and feel a little bit different Particularly if you're looking at unreserved fund balances, there are some negatives in there and negatives make people nervous. So just a blanket statement that that is okay. And it's typical for a community going through a lot of capital investment. And so it started for us a year or two ago. We're going to see that over the next few years as well, as we're doing all these major capital improvements, and particularly because we're generally paying out of pocket and then being reimbursed by grants or by bonding. Those negatives are part of that process, and it's okay. At the end of the day, the town's financial position remains strong and stable. And if anyone wants to get into the details, I'm happy to take questions one-on-one, or we can schedule a different date with the council.
I'd just like to understand, so you submit it, is it, does someone go with the fine tooth comb, or do they do lottery who looks at it? How does the audit process work?
All the fine tooth combing is really in the audit process, getting to the end of the report. The state then does do a lot of digestion and aggregation across communities. One of the things in the back is called the MTP report, and that's the Municipal Transparency Portal, and it allows the State Department of Administration supposedly to compare across communities. It's not a perfect science, but that's the effort. And they usually release those numbers about 9 to 12 months after year end, so that you can actually do some data grabbing across the state. Sure.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion, if none. Any questions in the public? I'll make a motion to receive and approve the annual audit report for FY 2023. Seconded by Hugh. Martha. Any other questions? Hearing none. Aye. Unanimously approved to receive the audit report. Thank you, Amy. Discuss and item 21, excuse me, discuss and act on allocating ARPA funds for the purchase of the medical center generator. Amy, can you, or Marianne, one of you?
I'll run with this, and Amy can jump in if needs be. As you know, we did receive ARPA funds some time ago, and one of the particular areas we spoke about during last budget season is possibly use funds to pay for the generator for the new medical center. We did apply for a grant for $50,000. We were notified we weren't successful in that grant. We had anticipated applying for additional grants. However, the need for the generator is earlier than what has originally been anticipated. The estimate that has come in at this point is just under $147,000. The owner's rep, who is Charlie Weber, is reviewing that particular quote as we speak. So what we're requesting this evening is request to use ARPA funds up to $147,000 for the purchase of the generator for the medical center.
And what was the amount of the ARPA funds that we received?
340?
I'm sorry?
300.
And we expended any yet?
So I'll follow, can I just follow
Yeah,
up on
of
that?
course, yeah.
Expended or planned? I just want to make sure we use the right language. So of the money, is other stuff already allocated but not spent?
We have not made any allocations or any expenditures.
Great. And then, Marianne, just remind me, this is because the medical center to date has used the school generator, and now this will have their own?
They've always had their own generator.
Okay, so it's just a
Right,
replacement?
the generator they have is what we call at end of life. It's still functioning, but it's still at end of life. They also are doing the major renovations, and some of the requirements of the generators is updated and new compared to what they were before.
So just in the interest of fairness, when the school's generator reached its end of life, we had the school pay for that out of their budget, right?
What we did with the school generator, if you remember, the school paid a portion of it and the town also paid a portion of it. I do not have those specific numbers in front of me as to how much the school paid and how much the town. What happened with the school generator, if you remember, it wasn't at end of life. It was no longer functioning. We did reach out to Rhode Island, Bill McComb reached out to Rhode Island EMA that gave us a loaner until we purchased the new one.
Any other questions from anybody in the audience?
I'm just wondering, why didn't we use ARPA funds for the generator at the school? And now we're gonna use it for a quasi-private entity of almost $150,000.
We never had that discussion at this level, at the council level. It was a 60-40 split with about $70,000. That's right, Amy, too. Is that your recollection? 15, all right. 15,000.
Any other?
Yeah, so, I mean, Molly's raising a really good point, and I don't know the history of how the town has managed the facility, so, and I think quasi-private is probably a good way to describe it, given the funding. Why are we paying the whole thing? Why aren't they paying some of it? You know, and I'm okay with it. I mean, kick the tires on it.
Yeah, if you remember correctly, we went through this through the budgeting process last year, and in the budget that we budget in the capital budget for next year was $125,000 for the generator. So that's when a lot of that discussion took place with the, when the cost came in, it came in higher, which is at the 147,000. We originally anticipated 125. We never had a discussion regarding comparing the school to the medical center. Both, the medical center is a town-owned building, and that's a request that they have made. They, being the medical center, do submit capital requests to the town, and they have submitted on a continual basis the generator that the council, town pays for the general. So this generator was in our 6-year capital budget.
Well, I think what we're kind of losing sight of here is that the town money, school money is town money. It's not, you know, my house or something. It's,
It's a different pocket.
yeah, but it's the same
Right.
place. The medical center is a separate entity. We own it, but that whole
We own
long,
it.
I'm not going to try to explain that. I do remember a rather lengthy conversation about these generators. I think the facilities director was standing over there talking about this during budget season.
Yes, Devin Michelle, thank you.
I'm one of the members of the medical construction committee, and Charlie gave an update this morning as to why it's so expensive. Part of it is the requirements that Department of Health is putting on the medical center. I think it has to run for at least 48 hours and some other things. And the reason they need it now, as Marion knows, is they need to be able to put the utilities underground now. And the manufacturer that they have will not release the requirements until the town buys the generator, which is why this needs to be done now. You can't wait till the building is done to buy it. You got to buy it now, so they'll give you the specs so you can do the wiring, do the underground. So it's all done now, so it's ready. But part of the Department of Health is what's driving this cost up.
Thank you, Doug.
Wait, but is that all stuff that you knew? Like, why are we not hearing that from you? Is there more that we need to know that you know?
No, this is just, Charlie had just mentioned to me Friday night as I was walking up High Street, when I said to him, the cost has increased. And I told him one of the things was the gas tank, the tank for it. And he said, he thinks that's because of the fact DOH requires them to have it running for 24 hours, 48 hours. So that was new to me on Friday night. I think that was relative. Yeah. This is even for, I think even for the medical center and their committee, it's new too.
It was just brought up, Amy, maybe you can clarify, did we already approve 125 in the budget or not?
125 is what's in the capital plan for
But not-
fiscal
hasn't
year
been approved.
25. So it's funding that's not available till July 1 under that program, if it's approved then.
So if it is approved, then will that funding will become available, or we just won't put it in the plan?
Yeah, I think if
Um,
the recommendation went forward today, it would then be removed from the capital plan for fiscal year 25.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's money.
Do you, Amy, have a feeling that like is this it? Are we gonna get hit up for further building expenses moving forward? Or is this is it?
That's not a question that I can answer.
Right, oh, we just,
But it is a
Do you-
building.
It is our building.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the allocation of ARPA funds. Do I need to say a number? No. So I approve allocation of $147,000 up to $147,000 from the ARPA funds for the purchase of the medical center generator. Seconded by Neil. Any more discussion? Good question. Norman. Thank you. Martha, how do you vote? Molly? That was an aye. Neil? Aye. Sven is aye. Unanimous vote to approve the ARPA fund allocation. Amy, ready? Receive an act on managed edge services agreement with Ocean Inc. for CAI network services.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Amy.
it snuck up on me. So our CII network has been operational for 5 years.
Unbelievable.
That means that it's time to
Thank you,
renew
Doug.
our agreement with Ocean. So we would anticipate another 5-year agreement. Some of the pricing has come down. We've added a couple services, but otherwise, the agreement is essentially the same. And it's all better than equal to or better than the MPA program that they have. So this is all part of the statewide master purchase agreement.
And is it underestimated budget or?
It is actually underestimated budget because it is a reduction in those prices, in some of those prices. Yep.
Can you tell us what is the level? I'll ask it slowly.
I don't have my current
Okay.
in-force agreement.
Any other questions?
Sorry.
Hearing none.
You're recommending.
Yes, I am recommending that we engage in another 5-year agreement with Ocean for those CAI services.
Thank you.
Motion to approve and receive an act on managed edge services agreement with Jane Inc. for CAI service network service.
Is there a second? Martha, seconded by Martha. Any more comments, questions from the field? Hearing none. Molly?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much, Amy. Now discuss, Amy's on a roll here. So item number 23. I do want everybody to notice this item number 23, and it's been an hour and 5 minutes. Discuss S&P. Discuss S&P global ratings for the town of New Shoreham. Amy?
Sure. Again, I'll make this pretty brief. This is what we're working with. This is the town's bond rating as published by Standard & Poor's. And this was sort of an exciting little exercise. It was prompted by our issuance in early December of the permanent $8 million broadband financing. And we brought that to the public debt market. We haven't been out in the public markets for a long time for our financings. So it was the last time we had a ratings review was 2015. And so it was a little nerve-wracking to wonder how that was going to go, but S&P did affirm the town's AA rating, which was great news. If there are sort of 3 sentences that I think sum it up, we'll go with that. The rating reflects our view of the town's large property tax base and consistent performance with stable reserves, and our view of the town's management under our financial management assessment. So all great, stable. New Shoreham relies primarily on property taxes. We know sometimes that hurts. It's also really viewed favorably by the rating agencies. property taxes accounted for 72% of revenue in fiscal year 22. It helps provide predictability and stability to the town's budget and financial performance. That's the upside of what we feel so acutely at home. And then sort of the caveat of, could we secure a higher rating in the future? As an island off the coast of Rhode Island, the town has significant coastal exposure that could lead to economic damage and corresponding effects on revenue collections. You know, there's a limit to just how much we can do because of our size and that constant risk that we have of a major storm or something major impacting a very small island all at once. So to secure that AA rating again is great. We don't reach too hard to say we're going to get to AAA someday. It's not likely because of the concentration of risk. So we're really happy with this review.
If I
Could go
Oh, go ahead. Nope.
Could you quantify if we had gotten to a triple rating? Just this is more out of curiosity, not a judgment.
Yeah.
What would the difference be in what we got as a AA versus the if we had triple?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer off the top of my head. It's a couple basis points, but I can't actually quantify them.
Mine is not a question, mine is a compliment, Amy, and that is reading stable and it's a real affirmation of you and your leadership in the finance department and Marianne as town manager. So I mean, it's really nice to see this. I'm sure you are nervous, but you shouldn't have to have been, and congratulations.
Thanks.
Other questions? Comments? You, it's a short question. No, yes, of course.
Ms. Land, I have a question on the S&P. Is there any way to figure out how much of their concern about the coastal exposure has to do with sea level rise versus like the conductivity for a Carrington event or, you know, her increasing intensity of storms? Is there any way to ascertain any of that?
It's a great question. It doesn't have a number associated with it, but I can tell you from when we used to do these back 2019 to 2015, there were never questions back and forth with the analysts about sea level rise. It was really about that concentration of a single storm. This time around, I would say 25 to 30% of their concerns were really focused on climate mitigation. So that was a big part of their analysis. And it's an area where we're doing a lot of work. And so we were able to really talk about the town's strategies for dealing with that over the long term. So a lot more than it used to be, but I can't really put a number on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good question.
So that is a great question. And I'm wondering, do you think that the work that the Sea Level Rise Committee is doing helps this?
Absolutely. So we definitely in our presentation talked about the work that the Sea Level Rise Committee has done, about the grants that they and Allison and Marianne have been working on and securing over the last couple of years and then going forward. That was all, you could sort of hear a sigh of relief and a little bit of excitement in talking with the analysts that this was not something that they needed to be concerned with.
Great.
Fantastic. There's no action, so do you need anything? Okay. Now to the review of financial reports. For those that don't have it, all the financial reports are online. Amy, do you want to just sort of take us through and any hotspots, concerns?
I'm just going to give you a list. So this is through November. This was a carryover from our December meeting, so not quite halfway through the year.
Yep.
Starting with revenue. On the upside, building permits, way up. It's hard to know where we're going to wind up, but it's just been exponential this year. We never want to count those, but it's been material.
Maybe
Yeah.
you or whoever, or Tom, is it number of building permits? Is it
It's the-
number and dollars of building permits? What?
I'm concerned with the dollar value.
Sorry.
Tom Reese, facility manager. The quantity is up, but the volume, the dollar value of each is also larger. So it's one on top of the other.
Thanks. I was worried it was down in number and up in dollars, but that's great. both
And I
of
know,
those.
and I know this is kind of speculative, Tom. Do you see that as people adhering to doing them like and following rules, or is there really more activity? Because, and I'll use my own as an example. I would never have known to replace windows, and do the front. I would need a permit for that. I got it, and
But you didn't get them for the back.
but because I didn't, well, no, but I didn't do structural change. So for me, if I had a house that no one saw, I would have just done it. And I guess my contractor would have said, hey, you need a permit, but maybe, right? So I know it's a little crystal ball perspective from you, but
Not really. We would like to do better on compliance and people pulling permits for the work they do, and we're pursuing that. It's because the size of the projects are up. So, we got to work on the first, and we're happy to enjoy the second.
Sorry, Andy. Oh, sorry, Dave. Louis?
I have to question, I'm curious now, how is the town pursuing that? Because I think a lot of the population has been curious about this for a long time. How are we actually pursuing that? Can that be revealed?
you mean about enforcement?
Yes,
First of all, we're starting with your house. No.
come on
And Tom.
and bring your hammers. No, it's a serious question,
Yeah, no.
but it needed to be asked. It doesn't have to be answered tonight, but I needed to be asked.
So do you want to give a quickie, Mary Ann or Tom?
So, I
we're on
know,
The financial reports, but
yeah, I know that, the, building official and, Tom have, reached out to DBR. Because we've had some people who weren't licensed and providing the work. So we have reached out to DBR and asked them to investigate some of the things that have been going on.
can I make suggest, or, okay.
What's DBR?
To follow Mary Ann's lead there, there's two problems. There's, contractors, working beyond their license. For instance, a plumber doing electrical or a general contractor doing any trade at all. And then there is people not pulling permits for work. We are not in a mode to follow the Arnold or lumber truck to a site and see if they have a permit. That's not really done in the state of Rhode Island, but if we get a complaint, we pursue it. The way to go after people working outside their license is through their license, which is the Department of Business Regulations or the Department of Labor and Training, DLT. And their enforcement activity will come down on the guy who has a license to say, pull a general contractor's permit, but not do the work, yet is doing the work anyway. So just to refresh you all, I'm not the building official or the building inspector. I'm the facility manager, but I work with them. I facilitate their activities on the island or his activities. And that's why I'm aware of it, but I'm not the enforcement guy. But it is something that we are certainly working on.
Thank you.
So I have a couple things to add. So in Jamestown, I think it's really interesting that in their paper,
I was just gonna say, maybe what we should do is make this an agenda item of, I'll call it, update of
Yeah.
enforcement and commission. I just don't want to
Okay.
spend too long.
no, but I just had one thing I wanted to ask, so they print their building permits in the paper, which is kind of cool, right? Like the police report, except it's building permits.
Does the town print them or does the paper go and
paper prints them.
advertise them? Right.
But anyway, it's a useful tool, right? Because then you say, wait a minute, my neighbor's putting on a deck and I don't see that permit in the paper. But I also wanted to say, I've had a lot of people contact me about the work being done along Scotch Beach and asking whether that's permitted. So I don't know, like, how do people follow up on that? Do they call you? Do they
Well,
call- who do they
people call the building or the land use department, which is Jen, and they ask. In that case, that's all CRMC, but there is a zoning aspect that we're pursuing right now that could be done in parallel. But there is no building permit required for that work. The CRMC did permit it. But it's been ongoing since last February. They stopped for the summer, and in last February, you might remember They put the tow rocks in off the beach and they started that job. CRMC put a stop on it through the summer months, and that's why they just started up again now. But it's a project that's been ongoing for over 12 months.
But if people have questions, they call land use office.
I'd say they call the clerk and they would refer them to me. I think everybody calls 3200 first.
Thanks.
And I do think that's a good just topic that we should at least have it on an
Yeah.
agenda because people have asked. There's no question about that. Amy, sorry, I derailed it. So I
Sorry.
apologize.
That's okay. It's how we talk about these things. Another area would be the hotel meals and cottage tax. It's sort of in a wait and see mode. Generally holding close to last year, but it turns out that last year's numbers were inconsistent. We had really high collections for July, August, September, and then they dropped off. So a month to month comparison is not serving us well. If you drop last year, we're actually ahead of all the prior years. So we're going to sit tight and pay attention to what's going on there.
A couple of things there. So the hotel tax, I know you're going into budget now. Last year, the state of Rhode Island made in their budget recommendation to lower the prediction of hotel. Did we ended up pretty flat. Did the state of Rhode Island end up flat as well? I'm just curious as using that as a marker was.
I didn't follow their final numbers. From a budget perspective, we fell in line with their recommendation.
Okay.
Sometimes we use our own, sometimes we use theirs, depending on what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so we'll make that judgment call throughout this process again.
Okay. The other comment that I'd make based on seeing the numbers through the Tourism Council is that there was a huge increase year to year on the non-weekly rental income that flows in differently, obviously, through the
Yes.
platforms, considerable. So when we're looking at how those continue to get managed forward, we're already seeing the spike there. So,
Yep.
which is great revenue for the town, just another way of having to look at it to manage it. So,
Wait, when you say non-weekly, what does that mean?
so the VRBOs and Airbnb, that number really spiked this year, that the number the state gave us, and basically the revenue being booked through those sites. So, which goes
We get-
aligned
we
with
get
reason
fees.
of the short-term rental. So,
Two more things on the revenue side. Tax collections, we know are going to be challenging. You know, we started off the year with about $400,000 in abatements. So that's a hole we're going to be, struggling through for the rest of the year. And so that's on the downside. And then harbors revenue was strong. We finally have a full season. They had a rate increase and great performance that combined for really strong revenue on the harbor side. On the expense side, a couple areas that I'd like us to keep an eye on, or at least know where the numbers are going. The first one is legal. It's running about consistent with last year. Last year, we finished about 60,000 or 30% over budget. So again, if that's the pace that we're going to keep, we need to remember that in putting together the 25 budget. One of the other ones we need to budget differently for is going to be insurance. That's property liability and workers' comp. We increase it every year and the final bills are coming in above that every year. So we're going to have to take a pretty big leap to catch up to that. And then the last I would call your attention to is.
so can I just, since that's through the trust, do
Mhm.
we see the same type of increases that commercial saw in the kind of public market, or where, I mean, my insurance went up 3 times. I didn't have claims. You know, it went from 12,000 to 45,000. I mean, that for a small business, that's huge. So
They're
I'm
actually
curious if
lower than the commercial market, so we can't
Okay.
complain.
okay,
But it's still more than we were prepared for. From 23 to 24, the big jump was on the workers' comp side.
Yep.
And, in retrospect, we knew that would happen. We've added a lot of positions and we've changed our salary base. We may see some of that back in a rebate after the audit, the workers' comp audit, but our initial premium was a lot higher. But yes, it is lower than what they're seeing in the commercial markets. So, the Mansion Beach bathrooms were put in place in November. So we saw that final bill come in, or the final sets of bills for that project. If you remember, that wound up being about 40,000 over budget from the initial 175 that was budgeted in 21, I think. But it is nice to have that complete and in place, and we can move forward from that project. So
Other questions?
that's
Questions from the audience? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one more question on the legal? Sorry.
Sure.
So when you're saying this year, last year, and that increase, we're running on level with 22, 23, or our level for 23, 24,
If
you're
you-
gonna suggest increasing? Like,
We are running consistent with last year.
okay.
And that's what this report shows. So people will look at that and go, oh, look, we're consistent with last year. And that feels good. Unless you remember that last year actually finished up pretty
Over budget.
significantly over
Yeah.
budget. So just
thank
know that that pace is going to put us pretty far over budget. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
It's just something we need to
Yeah.
prepare for. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. All righty, item number 25. Discuss and act on boards, commissions, and committees. First is just receive the resignation of Sarah Cullen on the Library Board of Trustees. Let everybody know about appointments for the North Lake Commission. There's an alternate position, 2 positions on shellfish, and 3 positions on sea level rise. And there are vacancies on the Board of Canvassers, Library, Board of Trustees now, Commission on Motor Vehicles, Juvenile Hearing Board, Shellfish Commission, and Packer of Fish. What?
Right here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, you're right behind the podium. I was like, what? So, if everybody remembers, we skipped the, thank you very much, Molly. We skipped the Hawkers and Peddlers, application. And, the question that was asked at that moment was, is anybody here for the Hawkers and Peddlers? And Julia Gassner is here. Thank you very much for coming in. Molly, thank you very much for, ringing the bell. Just going back here for 1 second. Does anybody have any questions about the approval of the Hawkers and Peddlers license, or to make a motion?
Any changes to how you've operated it to date?
I'm probably gonna add more products. Definitely recyclable water bottles, things like that.
But that's
Do you
it.
have any suggestions?
No. I was just for consistency standpoint.
Are you gonna offer?
You're not gonna have a dance club down there, right? And thank you.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah. Motion and move. Hold on. Where was it? Are we doing the,
Hawkers and Peddlers.
which was where? Go ahead, just do it.
Sure.
My computer just froze.
Sven,
What?
do you want to read it off?
No, I wanted to read the agenda,
Okay.
but I lost my agenda. There it is. Maybe? No.
Well, all it says is on that.
Oh, it's Hawkers and Peddlers. I'll make a motion to approve Hawkers and Peddlers application by Julia Gassner, 108 Cornack Road, for the 24 year. There's seconded by Neil. Any questions? I had not.
I know.
Okay.
But just to clarify that it's called Block Island Snacks.
Doing business as Block
Oh,
Island Snacks.
yeah.
That's a good ad. Molly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Thank you
Again,
for coming in, Juliet. and I
thank you,
appreciate
Julia.
it.
Can I just ask more out of curiosity, announced vacancy? What is the Packer of Fish Committee?
Okay, we're not going to discuss it tonight, but the Packer of Fish is literally the Packer of Fish, which puts salt on and packs them in. It's, we are not going to talk with Kim about keeping these old positions in place, but.
Is that real? It's
It's real.
Oh,
yes.
real, it's in this quarter of what is all kinds of.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
State law.
so this, it says it expired. Who holds that? Do they want it again or is that? Millie?
It was Gary Hall, and we did check with everyone. The majority of them said yes, they'd stay with it, which was lovely, and so they were under consent agenda. But the packer of fish chose not to re-up this year.
Okay. I know, I was do that in the same thing. Okay.
So, there is one more thing that for those who are here, that is not quite on the agenda, but it's within committees and commissions. As many of you know, Laura and I sold our business, sold our house here on the island and are moving to Minnesota for family health reasons. While we are happy to be with and support family, this move has been very, very hard as we leave friends and a place that we love and cherish. As I relayed to council months ago, the plan has been to work through my term in office, but I have now come to realize that I'll not be able to give 110% as the council works through the upcoming budget cycle and key decisions. I've served on the town council, the planning board, the Shoreline Access Working Group, the Tourism Council, the LCAS team, and the Sea Level Rise Committee. I grew up spending summers here and we bought our home in '95. Laura and I started and ran Northlight Fibers, the only manufacturer on the island, and we rewrote parts of the zoning regulations to establish light industry. Unfortunately, given the work before the council and things I need to do in Minnesota, I've decided it is best to officially step down as second warden and resign from the town council effective immediately. I have had extensive conversations with Keith, who I'm very sorry is not here, and I trust you all understand my decision of putting family before everything else. I'm confident that some very qualified folks will step up and complete my term or the term, and I encourage everyone interested to contact Millie and the town clerk's office. To me, this is a very sad moment as I've truly enjoyed working on the council and volunteering for the town. There are too many people to thank, but it has been a real honor to serve the island. It would be my pleasure to participate in any subgroups or committees if desired, but I want to thank the town council and the town for all the work they do to keep Block Island the place we all love. So thank you. On that note, I make a motion to close the meeting at 8:27.
Okay, well, slow down. So
So I need a second. on
So
closing the
thank,
meeting.
from personally, thank you for all you've done for the island and I applaud you for putting family first. So
Thank you.
I hope it all works out well.
I do too.
She's got a long road ahead of her, hopefully. And before we go there, so what is the step for replacing Sven? Is it appointed by us? How does it work?
Millie, do you want to give a top line?
Yeah, it's addressed in the charter to fill vacancy. The second warden will be chosen amongst the council. You'll make an appointment amongst yourself to fill the second warden, and then the vacancy of the town council at large will be appointed by you as well.
So, and does that allow for closed session discussions? Does that allow for closed session discussions when candidates come forward and? Okay.
And as some of you may remember, I started mid-term when Norris passed away. And there have been a number of occasions where people have left similarly. So there's a roadmap.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear this. I
Thank you.
didn't see that coming. So.
Sorry, I because of the whole open meeting, I couldn't really communicate with everybody. And anyway, trust me, I'm sorry too. So with that, I make a motion to close the meeting. Second. Oh,
We making any appointments that are between receiving resignation and
do we have any?
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Kim. I apologize. I apologize. I thought, I'm sorry.
I was like, Ian's sitting here for something, and I was like, what?
Okay. Thank you very much, Kim. I was obviously focused on something else. Okay.
And he thought his swan song was to get out of here in less than an hour and a half. Not gonna happen.
So that's gonna take a motion to adjourn on the table.
Yes, it's off the table. Okay, going back to what I skipped, I apologize. No. Well, maybe. So on the appointment side, on the North Lake Commission, alternate position to. No, I got it here. Alternate position second, we've gotten Jennifer Phillips. Is that right? Is Mark on the.
All once or by committee?
Separately,
Yeah.
by group, right?
All right, I make a motion.
Just want to also point out that you did receive a letter that I forwarded to you, I believe, on Friday or maybe over the weekend from somebody else who was interested in this position. And I just want you to realize that there was another position.
North Lake?
The North Lake.
Can you remind me of the letter? Maybe. Or Molly can just read it.
Oh, I did read. Okay.
No, I'm sure
I
it
did
was.
read it, 'cause
Can you just say who it?
there was a letter from, Gus Broussard.
Oh, that's right. I didn't
Yeah.
read that, sorry. So two people have put their names in to fill the alternate position for the North Lake Commission, Gus Broussard or Jennifer Phillips. You want to make a motion? You started it.
Well, with the name just coming up, or we?
Yeah, well, we have two people.
All right,
interested.
make a motion to approve or appoint Jennifer Phillips as the alternate with the term expiring 12/24 for the North Lake Commission.
I second that.
Second.
Oh, Molly seconds it. Any comments from above about?
Yeah, if you guys can find a spot with us, he's a good kid. He's worked for Lee's Playhouse. He's got a historic, historic preservation degree. I guess you probably wouldn't know who he was.
No.
He's only 23 or 22, but he's here year round. He's a really nice guy. So if you can find a spot for him somewhere, I can talk to him.
Can we have a second alternate? Oh, on that committee? Okay.
Can we just keep that letter?
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
put that
yeah,
out? Okay. Okay.
And can you tell them that we're keeping it on fire and we'll be positively leaning in to anybody that's young and wants to join? Oh. Wow. Okay, cool. Thank you. Motion made. Is there a second? So then, Molly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Next, Shellfish Commission seat 2, seat 2 and seat 4. Ray Boucher and Wendell Corey are signing off. Jim McCormick and Joe Cantone have asked are interested in joining. Any comments? Thoughts? Anybody want to make a motion?
I guess the one question, Marianne, I'm assuming Kate has weighed in on this and thinks these folks are good fits for the committee. I mean, I don't know the protocol. Do we usually ask that department heads? What's that? No. I know appointments are, but I understand that, but I don't know these people. Kate runs that area. It seems like we should have department heads weigh in on it or have an opinion is my point. So.
I think they would both be terrific candidates, but I
Okay.
agree with you that if there's a department that oversees the committee, that they should be.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who are gonna work closely with them. They'd know, I mean, I'm fine improving this, but I think
Yeah.
going forward, we should have department heads' opinions or
Mhm.
stamp of approval or whatever on them.
think we need to look at that because Harbor Master doesn't want to see the show.
He works closely with them.
They work in concert, but they're not under.
Oh, okay.
I would agree. I also don't want to put that person
I-
on the spot.
I'd be hesitant to ask department heads to participate or recommend appointments for a number of reasons.
It was sort of like asking Jen.
Well,
about
you're
appointments
stepping
to
off, so
finance.
you can be quiet
Yeah,
now.
I knew that was.
All right, no, so I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Shellfish Commission for the Shellfish Commission. Jim McCormick, term expiring 12/26, Joe Cantone, term expiring 12/26.
Second.
You want to do this level?
No, go ahead.
There are
I'm trying to
three,
get you to
there
your
are three
time.
seats on the Sea Level Rise Committee.
Can you call the vote?
Aye.
I can't do that. I'm not allowed.
Stop it.
Okay. Martha, how do you vote? Everybody unanimous vote. Sea Level Rise Committee, there are three seats open. One of them is mine, sheet 342. There are four names of people that have written interest: Corey Hines and Selena, Valerie Blanchfield and Kathy O'Riordan. How would anybody like to move forward?
Millie, are you familiar? Are any of these currently active members on these committees or? No.
No, these, the three active committee members that you did have chosen not to re-up.
Oh, okay.
So these are new applicants.
And I'm sorry, it's Corey Hines, Valerie.
And Salinas.
And Kathy.
Yes.
I'll move Corey Hines and Selena and Valerie. The appointments respectively to seats 3, 4, and 2 on the select committee. 2 years.
Second.
Any discussion? Motion made and seconded. Molly.
Aye.
Aye. Oh,
I had a different 3 in mind, but sure. Okay,
that's a yes?
yes.
Yes, Martha, yes. I vote yes.
Yes.
And yes, congratulations. Congratulations, Corey, and congratulations, Valerie.
Thank you, Ann, for attending.
Thank you very much, Kim, for actually reminding or making sure I got back there. Did I miss anything else?
We would have just badmouthed you when you stepped off.
You already
so-
will. You already will. Okay. What? Yes, I mentioned the vacancies, but again, there are vacancies on Board of Canvassers, a very important group, Library Board of Trustees, Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire, Juvenile Hearing Board, Shellfish Commission, and the Packer of Fish. With that, I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Thank you all very much.
Thank you again, Sven.
Thank you.
Someone just asked me recently, and I said, oh, no, he's worked that out. He's gonna leave it in his house, pray to the house closed.
Oh, close.
But I asked. Yeah, I thought you were gonna.